One thing I've noticed is it seems like there's a constant theme of generosity and philanthropy. Like you'll go get a free meal and then tip $500 to $1,000 to the waiter. You'll let your girlfriend, like not let, but like, she'll spend $10,000 to $20,000 a month. You don't seem to bat an eye at it. It seems like you like help out and you want your friends to succeed a lot, which is great. And then you have the Bluff miss that you did where you spent $500,000 on toys for kids where their families normally could not afford to buy their child a toy. Why is philanthropy such a crucial thing in your life? And how much do you know you're able to spend on it? What is your approach towards generosity and giving?
I think the philanthropy stuff comes from, once again, my childhood. Growing up, like I stopped getting Christmas presents when I was like 8 years old. And, you'd go to the skate park and everyone has a brand new bike, a brand new scooter, and I'm just riding like the same thing because we can't afford it. And I wasn't in spite or anything like that. But, seeing other people like getting all these like nice things, brand new things, and you don't know their situations either. Maybe their parents are struggling and they just like barely scrape by to get them that thing. So I never like try to like despise anyone for it. But obviously it makes you feel a type of way where, you wish you could get something or you wish you were able to like get one thing on your wish list. And also like, it's just the complete struggles from my childhood. I think kind of is built into my brain where I don't want other people to go through that. Unfortunately, they do, and they will have to, and I can't solve world hunger. I can't solve everything. But, if I'm able to provide during Bluffmas, I was able to provide, I think it was 3,000 or 4,000 kids with at least one toy. That changes something for like during the holiday spirit. If I was able to like experience something like that would make me feel like amazing. If I was able to go through this toy room and I get to pick out of all these toys one thing that I wanted, that's like, I don't know. I just think like that's what the Christmas spirit is about. And I don't really have like a budget for like the philanthropy stuff. And like we tipped like a waitress one time. Actually, the whole video, I was like, I'm giving this waitress $5,000. She was very nice. We tipped her $1,000 like a couple weeks prior. And this was going to be off camera too. I do it all the time off camera. I tip $500 or $1,000. I just play games with the waitresses and stuff. So I tipped him $1,000, and then we came back a couple weeks later because she was super nice and very appreciative. And the whole video, I was like, I'm going to tip her $5,000. I'm going to tip her $5,000. I won $10,000, and I was like, I'm going to tip her $5,000. We show up to the restaurant. I'm outside, and I'm introing back into the video, and I'm like, I'm tipping her $10,000. And then we're in there, and I give her the $10,000. She starts crying. She's freaking out. And then she's like, oh, like, yeah, I work 2 jobs, like, to take care of my son. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, just take this other 10,000 strap. Like, it's like, I look at it as like, if I were in their shoes and someone just handed me a bunch of money, like, how drastically would my life change? Like, that could be like the pivotal point in your life where, maybe it gives you enough confidence or it gives you the money where you can quit that job and go pursue, school to do this, or you need to finish whatever. And, or maybe you need to buy a car so you can start doing this other position that you have availability for. And like for me, like if I give out 20,000, like 20,000 is a lot of money, but it's not going to like affect me enough where like I can't eat and I can't afford my life. But it brings me enough joy where to see someone that excited. And, I just hope that it changes their life for the good.
What I find incredible is that a lot of other people don't feel the same way. Like to grow up in the environment you grew up in, where you're around stuff that's pretty hard quite often, a lot of the times that turns someone bitter and resentful and not wanting to give, but like wanting to take everything. Like, and I'm curious, why are you able to take this rough childhood and turn it into like a very structured, positive, optimistic outlook on life? Like, why have you been able to do this when a lot of other people that grow up in a similar environment not able to?
It's all about perspective, right? It's either, glass is half empty or glass is half full. You can look at things, and this is away from, like I say, gambling. You look at it negatively so you don't have that addictive personality with it or whatever, but everything else you want to look at it in a positive way. Like in 2024 on July 4th, I had a firework hit my eye, and like I had 20/20 vision. I was perfectly fine. Someone lit a firework and it tipped over and it shot me in the eye, and I lost vision in my left eye. So I have like this huge lens, right? And I can like barely see out of my left eye, even with the lens on. Not once was I like, oh my God, like this sucks. My first thought was, wow, the clickbait for my videos is going to be awesome. It's all about perspective and how you look at things. You can't always look at the negative where, I can go, like if I was on my scooter, I can try this trick, but I don't want to because I might break my leg. Or you could look at it as, I'm going to try this trick because if I land it, it's going to be crazy. The feeling of landing it is going to be awesome.
Was that an intentional decision that you made at a point in time in your life where you're like, okay, I'm going to start looking at things positively? Or has it always been like a subconscious thing that you never really had to fully like think about?
I think it's always been like subconscious. It's not like something I forced. I've always like looked at things like from different perspectives because like growing up, right? Sure, I slept on the floor, but thankfully I had a house to sleep in. Sure, I had to drink cereal with fake milk or whatever, but at least I was able to eat food. There's many things that you have to look at, and then you just have to be appreciative and thankful for, even if it's, to the normal standards, if it's weird and, poor, but, there's people in the world that are even, there's always worse. There's always worse. So you always have to be appreciative and thankful for what you have and what you can do.
The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and right now, every single goal changes everything, which is exactly why our sponsor FanDuel made things even more interesting with Every Goal Pays. And here's how it works. You bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. So the more goals in the game, the more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. For example, the USA beat Paraguay 4-1. That's 5 total goals in one game, and every single one pays out. So lock in your token and watch every goal matter. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. 21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-MyReset. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 Louisiana.